guys? It's your main man Ryan coming back from the galaxy, baby. I'm back. Sorry for the long delay, but I know this has been a month overdue, but I do want to talk about this in a little bit of depth here. The Knicks basketball is changing. Well, the NBA at large is changing, because if you look at the Knicks roster, you will see that in the past 8 months, R.J. Barrett no longer the team. Manuel Quickly no longer the team. They both were traded to Toronto. Obi Toppin no longer the team. He was traded to Indiana. And now, most recently, Julius Randle is not on the team. So, no player on that initial 2021 playoff run from the Knicks is on the team. The only player on that was a part of that 2021 playoff run that is still on the team today is Mitchell Robinson, and I believe Miles McBride and Jericho Sims. Other than that, you got a couple other role players, like Cameron Payne, Precious Achua, Jacob Toppin, Tyler Kolek, who has been amazing in Summer League. You got Josh Hart, who is a defensive a glass cleaner, averaging 10 to 12 boards in the playoffs. You got Mikal Bridges, who the Knicks picked up in free agency from the Nets, who was brought in to be a better three-point shooter. He started off slow, but he's getting into a rhythm now. And obviously, they got Karl-Anthony Towns from that trade involving Julius Randle. And they had to give up Dante DiVincenzo, which is, I thought didn't make any sense. Because why would you trade a person who shoots 35 to 40% for three? You know, it didn't make any sense at the time. But this can send on a message that the New York Knicks are no longer focused in three-point shooting as they are in defense. And so we're in this very interesting position. So what we're seeing is a half measure right here. We have a couple of players, and this is nowhere near the level of Hall of Fame talent that the Knicks had back 50 years ago, back in the early 70s. They had a lot more Hall of Famers. They had Walt Frazier, Willis Reed, Dick Barnett, who was recently inducted into the Hall of Fame, Dave DeVusher, and countless others. This is the bare minimum of Hall of Fame talent you can have on a roster. So, Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, potentially Mikal Bridges if he keeps on consistently. OG Anunoby if he stays in New York for the rest of his career. That's just the bare minimum. So you have two definite Hall of Fame, surefire Hall of Fame talented players. That's like the Cleveland Cavaliers back in 2015 with LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, a washed up Darren Williams, a washed up Richard Jefferson, and Kevin Love as a third option. That's pretty much what we're getting out of this Knicks team all throughout the roster. Now, it's very important to mention that we lost Isaiah Hartenstein in free agency to the Thunder. That's huge right there. So, half of our front court is completely gone. Now, but the Knicks are making significant strides to be a playoff team once again, where this has been nothing new. This has been happening since 2022, and it will continue for the next 5 years. The main bulk of why I'm making this video is to address the Minnesota Timberwolves. They just lost Karl-Anthony Towns, which is a big part of the roster. It felt like they were making strides by. Back then, they traded Andrew Wiggins, which I thought made no sense at the time. They traded for Jimmy Butler, which I thought was nonsensical. they eventually traded him to the Heat, which is a very, very good trade-off when you think about how both teams ended up. But they had to lose Karl Anthony Towns. Now, this lines up with the fact of what I said about the New York Knicks, that the lack of center talent will probably be the death of the Timberwolves. And this is pretty much what we're seeing out of this Minnesota Timberwolves team. We're slowly seeing this team go into irrelevance. They're forced, especially Julius Randle. He's trying to do all these things and play like a guard when he refuses to play defense. Although I didn't really think they would try to make a playoff push while satisfying Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle and keeping the ego of Dante DiVincenzo in check, while also satisfying Rudy Gobert at the same time. And this is the end result that is happening. We are shifting, and this Minnesota Timberwolves team is shifting for the worse. This is not a move to make the Timberwolves better. This is not a move to improve the team in the way that many Minnesota Timberwolves fans are talking about. This is basically a way to say fuck you, slash everything that people want, and make Julius Randle half-ass on his way to a 25.9 or 20.9 at least. And it's just it's ridiculous, you know. It really is bothersome that this is, again, Julius Randle. I'm going to be making a video talking about Julius Randle soon. I'll give you guys the title, the most polarizing player in New York. I will make a video about that. And the fact that Julius Randle is very ungrateful of the talent that he has on the roster. He has possibly the deepest bag of all-star talent that you could possibly find. Yet he feels like he's being pushed back into these categories, which really are just fucking, unless he's making 30 mil in this NBA landslide. They're slowly moving out of this championship potential here. Whether it be Jalen Brunson still in the limelight, or just the New York Knicks as the New York Knicks general office going into this direction. But again, Julius Randle is nowhere near surviving in the NBA for the next 5 to 10 years. We're in this status right now where Julius Randle, as it pertains to him wearing a New York Knicks uniform, doesn't need to be around for a new era of basketball is here. But I just wish he could have acknowledged that his career in New York could last a little longer if he just prides himself a little more on his defensive talent. That he can use his 6'9", 6'8" frame to create help defense and get good stoppage plays on defense. But this type of shit does not give you trade value. This does not bring trade value. This is the type of shit that nobody cares about. Nobody's gonna go on. No coach is going to look at the Knicks and say, oh, I really need to pick up Julius Randle because of his offense, or the fact that he is a triple-double threat. There's nothing other than the fact of his offense that is able to make him a potential
Ryan Litzel
small forward threat. So it's extremely disappointing, and I don't know how I keep on finding myself to defend Randle when I said time and time again, and many users have said time and time again that he does not seem to give a single flying fuck about the Knicks. But I love Randle. This is a player that I grew up with ever since middle school. And I said this many times before, that this is a player that I come to love, and he's mishandled this so badly. He's doing he did such a horrible job in New York. As much as he averaged like 23, 7, 7, 7. Supposedly, I haven't looked at the stats, but I'll do so. And after making this video, he's doing such a horrible. He has brought the Knicks a polarization of love and hate. And I get the scoring, the all-star flair and potential there, and I get everything that needs to be pushed to this caliber of all-star potential. But for him to completely ignore team basketball is is insane. It's completely, number one, to have Julius Randle do this, not to get waved off. Like, I'm very surprised after all that time, after all the bullshit he put our fucking fans through, the Knicks fans through, the Knicks faithful through, that he's not just being waved off. Here's what I hate to see. I hate to see Julius Randle go to Minnesota and try to do his best Charles Smith, John Starks choke impersonation, when he can easily just get waived. He could easily, his career can easily just end in Minnesota with him getting waived and he has to play overseas. I hate that he's going in this direction of, let's act like I'm still relevant, but we're just gonna give the middle finger and just score and play no defense. Because, as I said before, there's no aspects to Julius Randle's game that is interesting, if that's the best way I can put it. There's no aspects of his game that says, here's a 5-star talented player. He's a 3-time All-Star. And as I thought a couple months ago, Joel Embiid could have fit into this roster, or could have fit into this roster, when back in November of last year, we were looking for a center presence to alleviate some pressure off the center position for the young guys. We had Isaiah Hartenstein at the time for some reason. We had all these different players, Josh Hart, Emmanuel Quickly. We had Jalen Brunson at the point. We had R.J. Barrett at the time at small forward. Like, I don't get what, like, Minnesota at this time is doing. Like, even with Rob Dillingham, I feel like he should play more. Like, the Minnesota GM and their general office managers just confused the hell out of me. It's just so weird, you know? And I'll have to talk about this in another video. But it's very, very disappointing to see that the Minnesota Timberwolves, with the addition of Randle, and how they're not playing Victor Wembanyama, is almost in the status. It's almost like the Detroit Pistons, just like we talked about a few months ago, being in a state of piss poor quality when they used to do really amazing stuff. And it's frustrating. It's disappointing. It sucks that Anthony Edwards can still go on. It's disappointing that especially Rob Dillingham, with all the rookie potential that he has, can go on when he could have played in G League and be a part of a Minnesota organization that is going through so much shit. And yeah, the fact that they traded Karl Anthony Towns, which was their big ticket, the person, the most underrated X factor that actually could have brought the Minnesota Timberwolves a championship potentially is completely out. But that's all I have to say about this situation, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm back. Sorry for the loss.